Once upon a time, 1 month into a global pandemic, a boy named Matthew was scrolling on Instagram. Typically, he entertained himself with drumming tips, sports highlights, and hilarious dog videos, but on this fateful day in April, he came across something entirely different. The Seattle-based dance workout phenomenon Dance Church had reposted a plethora of DC-related stories. Matthew decided to click through the stories, knowing this content would all disappear in less than 24 hours. He thumbed through videos of people dancing in their homes, with their children, cats, roommates, etc., and other, to be frank, boring stories. But then, one made Matthew stop dead in his tracks. At that moment, on his phone danced the cutest, sexiest, most whimsical little fairy disguised as a human that he ever did see. Immediately, the doom-scrolling ceased. He had to see what this was all about. HB dubs, eh? Adorable golden dog? Check. Impressive yoga poses on top of rocks? Check. Naked photo with underboob tattoo? No way. It all seemed too good to be true. Matthew's brain was immediately flooded with questions. Where does she live? Is she single? How much does she love Jesus? His questions were endless, but something deep down, greater than himself, knew he needed the answers. He double-tapped. He double-tapped again. Then he double-tapped a third time for good measure. And that was the end of it. He continued bouncing on around the gram, sure never to hear anything from or about this perfect angel tiny dancer again. But later that day, she started following him? Wait, really? Like she saw the likes and just started following it? Wow, that's a bold move. We may never know the reason, but HB Dubs started following Matthew and Rudy, and nothing again would ever be the same. Before they knew it, they were exchanging messages. Through virtual love letters disguised as DMs, they slowly but surely got to know each other. They learned that they both loved Broadway shows, and they're two perfect dogs, and that he liked making beats and she liked playing with puppets. They must have liked whatever it was they told each other, because after a week or two of messaging, they decided to meet virtually via FaceTime. This first encounter lasted over 3 hours, so they only saw fit to make a plan to meet for reals, 2 days later to exchange baked goods. The girl, her name is Harley. We didn't say that yet, did we? Sorry. Harley brought homemade whipped cream and berries. Kind of sensual when you think about it, but Matthew brought his mother's famous brownies. Well, it's her recipe, but he made this batch. Obviously, he made them. Now, was it the brownies that day? Or was it the flowers, hand-picked that morning and put in a high-proof bourbon bottle, and they say chivalry is dead? Or was it the woman who pulled up in her BMW to witness this fateful first hug of many, just to tell them, hey, I love what you two are doing? Who knows what it was really, but this BMW bitch must have known something, because right then, at this very moment, on April 24th, 2020, in a Burbank, California Smart & Final parking lot, what Matthew and Harley started doing was falling deeply in love. What followed was a whirlwind of fun and exciting adventures, some alone and many together. They took off on solo road trips across the country, meeting in Sedona to meet Gary, Tennessee to meet Nani, and for 10 minutes in Denver to make out. By Harley's July birthday, they were back together again. First for an epic Joshua Tree trip that brought them closer through mushrooms, bats, and Yo-Yo Ma. Then back home to LA, where they spent more and more time together, where their love continued to grow and thrive amidst the backdrop of an otherwise dismal 2020. As politics and civil rights unrest seemed to sink the collective spirit of the planet, Matthew and Harley found ways to keep themselves afloat. Gnocchi Mondays, Fish Taco Tuesdays, and Joy Saturdays certainly helped. Sometimes just sitting together on the couch watching the news and crying helped too. And that was 2020. Sprinkle in some volcanoes in Costa Rica, waterfalls and naked photos in Sequoia, and a bunch of shared new Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Hanukkah memories. It was a pretty damn good year. Oh, they also moved in together, into a lovely one-bedroom apartment on York, with Rudy, Piper, and absolutely no other unwanted house guests whatsoever. Over the next year and a half, countless traditions were born and new experiences were had. From buying each other records, to drinking out of champagne bottles, to sharing literally every meal imaginable. To getting COVID tested, to COVID vaxxed, and then getting tested some more. And let's not forget about the power hours. Did we mention all the jet setting in these first 2 years? From family trips with the dogs to San Diego and Topanga, to jaunts to Sedona, Connecticut, Boston, and Tennessee, even to New York, where they cried through an entire Broadway production of The Waitress, to an epic tour of Greece and perfect 4-day vacation to Mexico. Matthew and Harley sure got around. As the world opened up, suddenly even more experiences could be shared. At baseball games, concerts, museums, and plays. They saw Selena, Sylvanesso, and Sarah Bareilles, Harry Styles, Morgan, and Prince Harry, even Whiffy Griffy. Harley and Matthew were quite happy to find that they indeed liked doing everything together. Now, of course, it wasn't all rainbows and Via's tacos. There were tough days too. Moody days, anxiety days, stressful days. But they learned over time how to be there for each other. How to offer to be a buoy for their partner, but also sometimes how to just be there to cuddle or nap or simply accept that someone was having a tough day or week, and that was just fine. Better than fine. Because without these less than perfect days, it'd be impossible to truly appreciate all of the amazing ones. And most of them, whether they're spent trekking through the ruins of a foreign country or spent cuddling in bed all morning and watching TV on the couch at night, were pretty darn amazing. So that brings us to today, watching this in a cabin near the Great Smoky Mountains, celebrating 2 years of magic. 2 years that never would have happened if Matthew hadn't stumbled across a random Instagram story in time. 2 years that started as an excuse to exchange whipped cream and berries for brownies that, in light of a future gluten intolerance diagnosis, could have been viewed as gifting Harley literal poison, but thankfully wasn't. 2 years that are just the beginning of this epic love story. Because as soon as he first saw her, Matthew knew that Harley was the one he wanted to see all the suns and all the moons with. That she was the beauty to his beats, his little love bug. And one day, maybe, just maybe, his fellow co-founder of Brink of Death Squirrel and All Other Animals Rehabilitation Sanctuary. Happy 2 years. Here's to a million more. I love you, Harley Walker. The end.